That's it. I've had it with this dump. We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. Okay.
Welcome back to the channel. This is Wes as usual, and I hope everyone is doing well. Today I'm going to be reviewing the relaunch of Daredevil from writer Chip Zdarsky and artist Marco Checchetto. I'm a big supporter of both creators, so my expectations were very high for this collaboration. And while this issue is good, it definitely didn't reach the levels of excellence I anticipated it would. The art throughout the book is good, but I was definitely expecting Checchetto to bring something unique to the table. For the most part, much of the visuals are reminiscent of established Daredevil illustrations. The artist creates some good symbology throughout the book, especially the shots of Matt in his bedroom, which emote feelings of being in a cage or cell. This is used multiple times, and the closet handles resembling crucifixes play on the traditional Catholic roots of the character. Checchetto does create some panel work depicting Matt's sensory abilities, but it's nothing unique, and thankfully he uses these effects minimally. There are depictions of Daredevil patrolling Hell's Kitchen from the neighborhood rooftops, as you would expect. The art is good, but again it's much the same of previous visuals. I hope in future issues, Checchetto gets a bit more creative, especially with Daredevil's use of his batons, as he somewhat resembles a rhythmic gymnast in this sequence rather than a hardened vigilante. I do like the addition of the Fisk for Mayor billboards, as it reminds readers Big Brother is an ever-present threat. This is my favorite piece of artwork in the book. It depicts just how close to the edge Hell's Kitchen really is, as Daredevil is having self-doubts after a close call with some small-time criminals. It's beautifully rendered and tells a great story on its own. It portrays enough information and emotion that the narration really isn't necessary. The art is better than serviceable, but I get the feeling Checchetto is capable of more in the series, and I'll score it an overall 3 out of 5. This issue is Matt Murdock centric, with only a couple other characters getting any development in very brief stints, including a character introduction that's probably the highlight of the book. There are several flashbacks used, but they feel very unnecessary, as the past events highlighted really aren't germane to the overall plot and they weigh the story down. We see Matt as a young man pre and post accident interacting with his priest. In the end, the priest reassures Matt that God loves him, which would be a great message if current day Matt was having a crisis of faith. That's not the case, and it feels tacked on and covers no new ground with Matt's origin story. The opening of the book sees Matt courting a lady at a bar, and the interaction is very sweet and feels genuine, but is again unnecessary. It is used to eventually give the readers an update on Matt's current life, but this could have been handled with internal monologue or a phone conversation with Foggy. It really only serves to illustrate that even in hard times, Matt is skilled enough with the ladies to meet tens and get laid. We do learn that Matt is no longer a practicing attorney and looking for his next move in life. We also glean that Matt is still recovering from his accident and taking pills for the pain. If this results in a lame-ass opioid addiction story, I will be very disappointed in Zdarsky. After confronting, and to a degree failing, due to his physical recovery, to solve some local criminals, Matt goes to see his priest and confess the inner turmoil he's experiencing. Matt tries to compare his actions as a vigilante to the actions of Jesus against the tax collectors in the temple. His priest rightly exposes his logic fallacy and the error of referring to himself as the hands of God. In the end, the priest describes Matt as someone who seeks violence like an addict. This is powerful stuff, and definitely the best character development Matt receives in the book. Despite this strong effort, the flashbacks provide nothing new, and there are other missed opportunities to grow Matt as a character. I give the characterization in Daredevil #1 a 2.5 out of 5. The first part of the book is mainly used to establish Matt's frame of mind and his need to remove himself from the cage of his recovery and get back to the streets protecting Hell's Kitchen. At this point, the main plot starts moving, and we meet a couple of beat cops about to pencil whip a report to keep Daredevil's name out of it. This is probably my favorite part of the story, and we are introduced to a very cool new character, Detective Cole North. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy, and fresh to Hell's Kitchen from Chicago. He has no allegiance to Daredevil, and considers him a criminal. He's definitely not a new villain, but presented as a highly competent new foil for Matt to evade and possibly turn to his side over time. As Matt is patrolling the neighborhood, he intervenes in a robbery and finds himself in over his head. At first he's making small mistakes, whiffing on punches, forgetting where all the perps are, things of that nature. The confrontation turns hyper-violent quickly, and Matt is fighting for his life in hand-to-hand conflict. After he escapes, he leaves his Daredevil uniform behind and confides in his priest. You don't realize why he's so upset that he struggled to subdue 3 criminals after so much rehabilitation, but his seeming overreaction to failure is explained in the final panels of the book. During the fallout of his encounter, Detective Cole investigates the event, and we see Kingpin, or as he's better known, Mayor Fisk. He's listening to a news report about Daredevil's encounter, and he gets a very large grin on his face as it's revealed one of the 3 criminals died from reported head trauma. The first part of the book really drags it down, but the story is good when it finally gets moving, and I give the plot a score of 3.5 out of 5. When this series was announced, it was also reported Zdarsky himself would be providing some interior art for issue 1. I was expecting this to be included in the main story, but he actually created this absolutely brilliant 6-page story called Sense of Self. It's really 3 pages of a story told twice, once as you or I would see it, and once as Matt senses it with his abilities. This is, without a doubt, the coolest part of the book, and Zdarsky does an amazing job recreating the sequences and portraying Matt's senses in a truly unique way. I don't know if this would work for a full 24-page issue, but I would honestly love to see it tried, as this is the kind of innovative artwork this series needs. I score the Sense of Self short story a perfect 5 out of 5 in visual storytelling. While I will admit this didn't reach my lofty expectations, the art is above average, and I expect Checchetto to grow with the series. The first part of the story did weigh the book down, but if the back half represents what we have in store, I'm very excited. Due to its uneven nature, I'll score it a 3 out of 5 overall, and give it a mild recommendation. It's a good book, but I expect it to get much better unless they do the stupid opioid addiction arc, in which case I'll probably dip out of the series. At this point, I'm definitely going to keep reading Daredevil, but I hope Foggy and some other supporting characters get introduced soon. Matt is a compelling character, but he functions much better interacting with his close friends, and I fully trust that Chip has some great things in store for the character. Of course, these are just my opinions. What say you? Am I underselling issue 1 of Daredevil? Have you already given up on the pairing of Zdarsky and Checchetto? I would love to hear from you in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.